Hey everybody, so my usual call to action, if you are a follower of Chris Chan, I recommend you check out Nowhere Land, the album I put out recently that is based on the life, concept album based on the life of Chris Chan. It's available on all major streaming services. Anyway, so I know I've been doing a few Chris Chan videos in rapid succession recently as the recent events have unfolded. So I'm going to make it a point to go off on other topics in future videos. So here we are with Chris Chan now as now facing grand jury and felony charges, and this is a positive development. You know, the three worst possible outcomes: one, the homeless saga; two, a slap on the wrist and he goes home. One, the homeless saga; two, being picked up by some degenerate that's going to treat him like the Gimp in Pulp Fiction; or three, going home with a slap on the wrist. The three worst options are not going to happen. Now, this is not the best possible outcome. The best possible outcome is that they ship him off to some facility somewhere that's not disclosed to the public, where he never interacts with the internet ever again and lives out the rest of his days in a monastic environment. But this does finally put him in a position where he will finally have to face responsibility for his actions. And I think they've finally looked at his background and realized that he's a menace to society, a danger to himself and others, and he needs to be dealt with appropriately. As far as, I know it's funny, people immediately start kind of psychologically jacking themselves off with speculation about where, what he's going to, what the trial will consist of and how funny that will be and everything. And I can tell you right now, they're not going to sit there and make the jury watch the entire Geno Samuel documentary. They're not going to have Megan Schroeder and Jacob Sockness and Marilyn Walsh and every other person from Chris's past show up and testify like the last episode of Seinfeld. This is, I think, going to be fairly cut and dry. Some people speculated that maybe what they're doing is they're upgrading it to a felony so that they can give him time served plus a suspended sentence. And I doubt that that's going to be the case. I really do. And that would again be the worst possible outcome, or one of the worst possible outcomes, especially because he'll inevitably screw that up and end up back in jail. So I think that they have looked at that and realized that there is really no hope for Chris to live a functioning life as an adult, especially when he will invariably end up breaking the law again. I mean, his track record on that, he has a 40-year track record of absolutely zero evidence of responsible behavior in his entire life. So there's no reason to think that he will, there's no reason to think that he'll be able to move forward in that direction. Anyway, so that's where it stands. One of my regular viewers, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, asked me a couple of questions. One, I had alluded to doing a song for Nowhere Land called Gaming Store Girl that I had removed from the album simply because I felt that it was too unnecessarily derogatory and it distracted from the tone of the overall album. Was wondering if I would ever release it separately. Not in its current form. I thought about rewriting the lyrics so that it's just a general song about a nerd finding love, and then it might be fun to re-release it at that point, but not anything in the context of being related to Chris Chan. And that I don't want to do anytime soon, just because I spent, the first 6 months of this year deeply embroiled in the Nowhere Land project, and right now I want to turn my attention to other things. But he had another question, which was, do I think that Chris Chan is a social contagion, like he's the bellwether of a social contagion? And I think so. I think that, social phenomenons, whether they be fashion trends or music trends or political trends, or more ominously, different types of crime and different types of malevolent antisocial behavior and things like that, they tend to happen in these kind of cycles of popularity where for example, in the 70s and 80s, there was one serial killer after another: Ted Bundy, Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer, on, so on and so forth, John Wayne Gacy, all of that, one after the other. Serial killers were the thing. Now, serial killers are virtually unheard of, or they've largely vanished in terms of their, I guess the word would be popularity. And now spree killers are the big societal ill that everyone's confronting. The people that go that road tend to go the direction of getting a gun and shooting a bunch of people up in a single day. So the nature of the antisocial behavior goes in waves of popularity, just like anything else. And a lot of people have observed, Abigail Schreier, Helen Joyce, a number of people like that have observed that, maladaptive coping techniques among teenage girls go in phases too. First it's eating disorders, then it's cutting, then it's now the same people who would be falling into these categories are now falling into the transgender craze and all of that. And I know it's a controversial hot take, but I think I do think that personally, I think the evidence will bear out that the current trend in popularity of especially female to male transgender reassignment and all of that, I do think this current craze is going to be found to be rooted more in self-harm than it is in self-actualization. But anyway, that's a hot take for another discussion. But anyway, the point being that these things do go in cycles, and yes, I think it's entirely possible that Chris Chan is. It's funny. I watched the amazing Zac Efron Ted Bundy biopic that has this complicated mouthful of a name that I can never get it right. Shockingly evil, disturbing, and vile, or something like that. Whatever it was, I watched the movie. It was excellent. But anyway, Ted Bundy, the term serial killer, because I was watching a documentary on Ted Bundy that came up after I watched the movie, and they were saying that the term serial killer, even though such people existed, it really started getting used in force around Ted Bundy. Like he was the one that popularized the term. And Chris very much, Chris is not the first socially awkward weirdo to be made fun of on the internet, but he is regarded as the original lolcow, the first person that, codified what it meant to be a lolcow into objective terminology. So yeah, I think there's absolutely credibility to the idea that Chris Chan is a social contagion that way. And being as such, that's part of the reason we need a resolution to the Chris Chan story, because if all of these subsequent people, the Tim Boxes and the Cyraxes and the Pamperchews of the world and all of these weirdos, we need a resolution to the Chris Chan story so we can start to have the dialogue to these people of, hey, do you want to end up like Chris Chan? You can start to kind of derivate them a little bit, hopefully. So yeah, that's my thought. I think that's a good observation, and we will see. I'm watching the Netflix previews cycle over the screensaver while I'm doing this, and it just said that they've got that Sandman series coming out August 5th, and I am not looking forward to that, because Sandman is one of my all-time favorite comic books, and I do not want to see it turned into Generation Z depressed emo Netflix pap. Anyway, sorry, that's a side note. But anyway, so, Mitzi says hi. Yes, she does. Say hi again. Can you say hi again? I know y'all are just here for the Mitzi cameos, I know. Okay. Cheers.